Scott, what's the difference between critique versus trolling?
Nowadays, who knows? I feel like some critics are almost trolls at this point because once they get their mind made up about things, they seem like they can't understand or respect someone else's. And I really do feel like social media is the blame for that because everyone has become an expert. And I think I'm probably part of the last generation where I went to school for film criticism and I studied film. I grew up watching film, and I didn't just wake up one morning and say, tomorrow I'm going to start a blog and I'm going to write about movies. And then everyone's going to accept me as a critic. I went to school for it, whether it was Chapman University or Kutztown University, where I got my master's. And I studied film. I studied film production. I studied film criticism. I spent years watching movies and reading books about it. And in the last 15 years, that almost kind of went out the window because, and I will say that I think YouTube was the start of it. YouTube allowed, and I was part of this initial buzz on YouTube, allowed the everyday person to be able to record a video and give their opinion on something. Sure, you had LiveJournal beforehand or MySpace or whatever, but YouTube kind of was this thing that caught on, and nothing has been able to overtake it, right? I mean, out of all the video platforms in the world, YouTube has held strong for 15 years. But I remember this because I remember watching a lot of people who are my colleagues now doing YouTube video reviews. Whether it was the Smos, Christian and Mark, whether it was Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman. And they are all kind of people who felt this love of movies. But their whole selling point was, we're the average Joe. We're the Smos thing was always, we're the Smos. We're the average guy. We're not the film critics. We're not the hoity-toity. And I think for a period of time, it was great because there was a group of them who I think did their homework and they were really prioritized in doing this. But then the floodgates opened and everyone who liked movies decided that they were going to become a movie reviewer and that they were going to do it as a career. So we turned into an industry where so many people are putting their time and effort into film and criticism that, number one, don't really have a long history of it. They have no backing. They have no schooling behind it. But I think the most troubling part of all of this is who don't make money from it. So there's only so many jobs, just like there's only so many movies and so many acting roles and so many directing roles and whatnot. There's only so many places for film critics. And with newspapers kind of falling and going away, you don't have as many critics working for those sources anymore. So you have trades. You saw what happened to Entertainment Weekly. They're now all digital. All these websites that popped up, they're all digital. Some of them went under, but got sold to other companies. They keep getting sold over and over and over again. So there's a very limited amount of space that people can actually critique stuff. And yet everyone feels like they want their voice heard, so they create their own blog or their own movie website. And then they get, in a weird way, they get devastated because they're like, oh, I can't make a living. This is what I love. I want to do it, right? And Then you got people doing GoFundMes and Kickstarters and all this stuff to kind of like, hey, I want to go to this event. I want to go here. Can you give me money to do this? And these people don't have money. They can't support themselves and they want to do this. So it's like, it's weird in a weird way. Like when I was growing up, we always remember seeing actors and everyone always hearing everyone. Like I know I talked about Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, like sleeping in his car, and he wanted to be an actor, right? He knew he wanted to be an actor and the struggle of that. And it's weird because now we're like film critics, where they're like, we'll do anything for it. And it's very strange. But I realized I didn't answer the question about trolls versus film critics. To me, a troll is someone who like loves something and like hates anyone who has a different opinion of that and will kind of seek out and want to destroy a person for not sharing the same view or the same love that they have for something. A critic should be able to look at something subjectively, regardless of whether they like an actor, an actress, a filmmaker, and judge a full product and look at it and say, is the script good? Is the score good? Is the production design good? Is the acting good? And be able to kind of call out the weaknesses and the strengths of whatever that project is. And I think there's a very big difference because I've noticed fandom has gone so far past just being a Star Wars movie or Star Wars TV show or DC. It's gone to like individual people. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I have been attacked by people who I don't mind as actors or I like as actors, but I don't like something they do. And like this hive mentality comes after you. Like the most recent one was Lady Gaga this past year for House of Gucci. I love Lady Gaga. I think Lady Gaga is a gifted singer. She's a great actress. House of Gucci just didn't showcase her strongest moments. And it was kind of laughably bad at times. You put that out and it's like they just don't and they come at you. Oh, you like Kristen Stewart? How dare you? She's a terrible actress. And it's like they find everything they can to use against you. And it's like this so mean-spirited and so much hate that it's almost like after a while, it works against them because like you actually now have like this negative reaction towards this person because their fans are so shitty towards you. Because you're like, I like this person. I just didn't like this one thing. And all these people are like sitting here attacking me now. And like you almost want to like, what they don't seem to realize too is that the people doing this, we usually have the opportunity at some point, whether it's at an award show, whether it's at a junket, to talk to these talents. So it's weird because I think if I ever talked to Lady Gaga, I think I would say to her, probably at the end of the interview or something like that. I said, by the way, do you realize how shitty your fans are? Because like I literally said I didn't like you in one thing, but I still support you and I still think you're great in these other things. And these people came out at me sending me death threats and like calling me like the worst person on the planet and all this stuff. So I think that's the really big difference is that as a critic, even if you love someone, you have to be able to acknowledge that they're not going to be on their game all the time. I love Tim Burton as a director, but sometimes he doesn't make good movies. Alice in Wonderland, not a good movie. Dark Shadows, not a good movie. Doesn't mean I hate Tim Burton. It just means those movies didn't work. And that happens with everything. You can be a Marvel fan and think that Thor's a terrible movie. You can be a Marvel fan and hate Ant-Man. It doesn't matter. Like you can still love the product and the brand. they're never going to, nothing's perfect in this world. You're never going to have a 10 out of 10 every time. And I think people need to understand that. And I think that's the importance of criticism, is that you have to be able to look at an individual film and judge it on its own merit. It's not about this person's body of work. Like, I'm going to judge all of Leonardo DiCaprio just because he was in, Shutter Island. That's it. That's the movie I'm judging him on. No, you have to look at everyone and all they've done, but also look at the individual project and judge that on its own.
Has trolling become a hobby?
Yes, a lot of them go too far. And sometimes you get caught up in the moment of it, right? Like, it's very weird as someone who is a fan of people who are popular within the industry, whether it's a Taylor Swift, a Kristen Stewart, a Tim Burton, Steven Spielberg, whoever. You almost, like, when they have something you want to champion, you almost become part of the hive we were talking about, the hive. You almost become part of that hive, because I wanted Kristen Stewart so badly to win the Oscar, right? That, like, even though all the signs were pointing in the direction that, like, this is not happening, right? She's not established enough. She doesn't have enough people in the industry don't like her. Like, all these things were pointed in the direction that she was going to do it. Yet, like, you believe so strongly in the person and you want to champion them so hard that, like, you have to, like, let it go. And the thing is, and that's the difference that I think between regular, like, critics and journalists and people who are fans versus trolls, is that you can support someone and you can, like, literally post about them every day if you love them that much. But at the end of the time, like, there's got to be a point where you can cut it off. So, like, okay, Kristen Stewart lost. She didn't win the Oscar. You can't sit there for the next year posting about, like, oh, she should have won every day. And there's people who do. And I think it's very, very unhealthy that people become so obsessed with celebrities and films and pop stars and all this stuff, because you have to have focus elsewhere. It's just what you need to, you need to have, like, a life outside of these things. These are I don't even know how to put it, but these are moments in your life, right? Like, seeing a movie exists in that moment for the 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And you can like it and you can talk about it and till you're blue in the face. But you have to have something else. You have to have something else you look for, whether it's a partner, whether it's going out to eat, whether it's going to play sports. You have to, and I'm really kind of worried about some of those in this industry, and especially the trolls, who seem like they don't have anything else to do with their time, and they have no other ambitions but to sit here and, like, support someone who, I hate to say it, probably doesn't even know you exist. And even if they know you exist, they meet you, they say hi, they're thankful that you're supporting them, but they're going home afterwards and they're not going to say, for the next 6 months, thinking about, oh, there's Julie. I remember Julie. We met Julie at that screening and she was so sweet. I'm going to talk about Julie every day for 6 months. Like, no. She's literally like, okay, met a really nice guy, met that really nice guy there. Had a great moment with him. He was really nice. That's it. Come up in conversation once, that's it.